Hey, Ashley, how are you today?
Hey, David, I'm great. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Pleasure to have you on today. We're going to talk about something that I'm quite familiar with and that you use a lot, BFR, blood flow restriction bands. And before we get too deeply into that and your enthusiasm for them, tell me a little bit about your background.
Sure. Yeah. So I was a collegiate athlete. I was actually a two-time NCAA champion in the javelin throw, of all
The
things.
javelin,
The
really?
javelin. Yeah.
Oh, how
Yeah.
far? Give me a number. How far?
192.7 was my best throw in competition, right around 60 meters. Yeah. And I won a title for USC and also for University of Oregon. So kind of interestingly, I transferred in the middle there, but yeah,
Before we go
pretty
any
crazy
further,
time.
I've always wondered this, how did you pick like the javelin? That's for me. How did that happen?
Totally. Okay. Okay. It's kind of a funny backstory. So, when I was really young, like 6 years old, I started track and field just for fun. And they had the baseball throw, which is obviously not a real track and field event. But I was very good at that. Very good. Beat everyone, boys, girls, any age. I don't know why. I just was natural. Then as I got older, it became the shot put. And I was this skinny, lanky, like I was not a shot putter. So my parents, who were pretty sport oriented, got me a javelin for Christmas when I was in
Unreal.
sixth grade, sitting against the Christmas tree, a javelin. Right? How many parents do that? And they had a friend that was a track coach, and so they just started doing that. And then I actually ended up being a heptathlete first, which
Oh,
javelin is one of the events. Because in high school, I did all kinds of other events. Javelin wasn't an event in California. But by the time I got to college in the heptathlon, I was sort of getting smoked in some of the sprints. But javelin, I was just by far the best. So I just kind of started to specialize and yeah, had a knack for it for some reason.
how's your shoulder?
Exactly. Two surgeries later and the hip
Oh,
replacement.
okay.
But the hip replacement, I broke my hip when I was 13 skiing, and then
Oh,
it just came back to haunt me later. I mean, a lot of stress, and plus a collegiate athlete. I'm doing plyometrics, heavy Olympic lifting, heavy squatting. A lot of wear and tear on a compromised joint was not the best thing in hindsight. But I don't know that I would change it. I mean, it was a pretty cool experience.
I don't know why I know this fact, but the javelin throwing and shoulder injury seem to go together.
For sure. Well, if you ever seen javelin, you're sprinting as fast as you can, and then you stop, and all this force goes from your feet all the way through in your butt, and your arm is the like last chain of the
Yeah.
whip, right? So it's a lot of fast stress through the head of the humerus and the shoulder joint. So if you don't have a really, really stable shoulder, or even if you do, it's a lot of force to control. So different than baseball. Baseball is sort of repetition and they throw hundreds of pitches. This is like not the repetition, but the run up just creates so much more force than pitchers stationary on a mound, right? And so just the amount of force going through the chain is a lot greater.
I love the image of the Christmas tree and that you were in this, like,
Sixth grade, sixth grade at
who
that point.
who
Yeah.
gives a sixth grader a javelin? That's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Really great. So now you're older now and you train people.
Yeah, so I got into fitness. I've been in the industry for almost 30 years. I'm 54 now. I've owned a gym for 20 years. So pretty heavily in the industry. I speak in industry. It's been what I've done for the majority of my career. I coached Jackie Joyner Kersey back in the day, and I coached at Stanford, University of Oregon. So I started as a coach, but then I slid into fitness and I've loved it. And honestly, kind of my interest in BFR has really grown in the last year and a half, 2 years. And in the 30 years I've been in fitness, I would say this is the most excited I've been about anything in its ability to really impact people's lives in a positive way. So it's been pretty exciting to learn about and start to implement with a wide variety of clients and really seeing the impact it's making for people.
You probably used it on yourself first.
Yeah, so going back to, I broke my hip at 13. I had a hip replacement at 43. I've had two shoulder surgeries. I know how to lift heavy. I've lifted heavy for a lot of years, but now harder to lift heavy. And I went through menopause at 43, the same year I had my hip replacement, and started losing muscle really quickly. Could not maintain it even trying to lift heavy. And if I did lift heavy enough, my body would kind of pay for it. So I was in this like struggle of what do I do to keep my health? I'm talking about it kind of lightly now, but it was actually a very hard time for me. I was pretty depressed and worried about my future health. I always thought, I'm strong, I'm athletic, I know how to work out. I'm gonna kick ass at this aging thing, you know? And then lo and behold, like you realize you don't have full control, right? Like things happen. And I started realizing like I'm doing everything I can and it's not going well. It's not going in the direction I want it to go. And I found out about BFR, ironically, from my dad, who was in his late 70s and had a shoulder replacement, and he was told about it from his doctor. And so, same guy who bought me a javelin for Christmas gave me BFR bands for Christmas. So there you go. He's like 2 for 2. Go, Dad. He's 2 for 2 on that. So I started playing around with them, and then I learned a little more about it, started really getting excited about the science, and started using it on my legs. And
I just want to stop you because you and
yeah.
I use these all the time. So we know what BFR is.
Oh, yeah.
Could
Okay.
you physically describe, as we're talking about BFR bands, what is this?
Sure. Yeah. So BFR, blood flow restriction training. Basically, the concept is you wear these bands. There's different types, but this is an example of one on your upper arm and upper legs, and you pump them to a certain amount of pressure. And what it does is it's slowing down primarily your venous blood flow. So it's safe. It's not affecting arterial flow. It's not stopping blood flow, but it's slowing down blood flow enough to do two major things. One, it causes hypoxia in the muscle, and your type 1 muscle fibers that work with oxygen get fatigued. They can no longer work for a long period of time under BFR. So they start to fail, and your type 2 muscle fibers get involved at a very light load. For those who maybe don't know, type 2 muscle fibers are stronger muscles, and they are the ones that atrophy the most and the fastest as we age. And they're the ones that are probably most valuable for us in terms of maintaining our strength and our independence and even bone density. The other thing it does is it doesn't let the blood escape as quickly from your working muscles, so lactic acid builds up in your muscle and stays there. And that is really the key to why BFR has all these amazing benefits. It's the lactic acid. So you get this increase in lactic acid. Your brain interprets that as major fatigue in your muscle and releases human growth hormone as well as other anabolic hormones. That's huge because we lose human growth hormone as we age. And this is one of the few ways you can really get natural human growth hormone at a pretty substantial amount without having to work out or lift at an intensity that for most people as they age, it becomes out of their reach. You can't work out hard enough to get that human growth hormone response that you could in your 20s and 30s maybe. So your choice is you just don't get that anymore, and you're slowly, losing some of your function, strength, bone density, gaining fat in some oftentimes as we age because we can't access that. BFR offers a real solution for people to be able to produce more human growth hormone and maintain the benefits we get from human growth hormone without having to trash their body under these heavy loads. So that really, to me, is the key, that lactic acid, which leads to the human growth hormone response.
As somebody who's used these, and you and I both know, it feels worse. You're just doing air squats with them. After about 50, you just like, oh my God.
I find it's like easier and harder at the same time. It's
It
like
is, exactly,
easier
right.
because you're not going heavy. It doesn't feel like the strain that you would
Right.
normally feel. But the fatigue and the burn at the local level of the muscle gets pretty intense. But the trick of that is because you're using light load, or like you said, doing an air squat, even though your muscles are fatigued and burning, you can keep going because the load's not heavy. So that's kind of the key. You can keep working and continue kind of to your tolerance and kind of mental toughness of the burn. Like you can keep going, and that's why you can get this bigger blood lactate levels than you normally would in regular training. Because normally in heavy training, you can only do a couple more reps once you really start getting fatigued because the load becomes too much. But with a light load, you can just kind of push through that burn of fatigue. But to your point, it's not super pleasant at that point.
Sometimes we do like a lot of air squats with the bands, and we experience what we call race pain. And it's exactly what it sounds like.
Yep.
So take us through, how are you using these? How are you training your folks with these? And what are you seeing happen?
So when I started using them and realized the huge benefit I started getting, and very quickly, the other thing about using BFR is the results come quicker than normal training because we're using the metabolic processes to get stronger, which we can adapt really quickly to. So when I started seeing how much change I was getting, I started telling my friends, I started telling my clients that I'd had for literally 20 plus years to get everyone to try these. And pretty much across the board, anybody that started using them consistently had pretty significant, whether that was they felt stronger right away, their pain, whatever pain they had would decrease, losing weight became easier, bone density, even on, I've had some people do DEXA scans and the bone density will start to increase, which for women is particularly huge. So just massive benefits across the board. Aerobic endurance. So I have a lot of cyclists that I was working with because that's one of the things I do. And their climbing improved like quickly, where they started to feel like they didn't have the fatigue, because BFR will improve your VO2 max because it makes your vascular system more efficient and your mitochondria more efficient. So that's sort of the second half of what, it's heart rate, lung capacity and heart rate for VO2 max, but then getting that blood flow to the muscle through the vascular system. BFR makes that way more efficient. Our vascular system starts getting more adept and more flexible. So some surprising VO2 benefits that people will get. And so then I started being like, this is life-changing for people. I really had myself and multiple clients tell me this was changing their life. And I already owned a gym. I didn't need another business, but I just had this compelling feeling of more people need to try this. And I think the reason why they haven't is it's a totally new way to exercise. There's a million questions. How do I use the bands? What kind of bands should I use? What reps and sets should I do? How many days a week? What's the volume? On and on and on. And there's no real fitness program out there. You've used it in physical therapy, which is common, but in fitness, it's not as common. There's not as many programs. So I created a program to really walk you through from day one. Day one, you're using BFR bands. What do you do? How do you put them on? How do you start? How do you progress? And really created a program for that because I just see the application being so beneficial for people.
Let's go into some of the specifics here.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between doing a regular workout and doing a BFR workout?
Yeah. So you can pretty much do any of the same exercises. The BFR is always going to be lighter weight. The goal is not to try to get as heavy. You want to go lighter because your muscles aren't going to be as strong using BFR. So 30% to 50% of your normal weight would be the most you'd ever want to use. So weights are always going to be lighter. Reps are going to be higher. It's because we kind of what we talked about before, you're getting that fatigue, but you want to keep building that fatigue for as long as you can during that set. So the weight's light, you're going to do a lot of repetitions. And other than that, I mean, depending on your goal, if your goal is hypertrophy or gaining muscle, you would, maybe focus on more isolated exercises that are going to target a muscle group. Like for you and your knee injury, you're targeting maybe quads a lot, doing your air squats. You really want to get those strong. Or if you're looking for VO2 or just systemic mitochondrial health and just kind of overall energy, you do maybe full body exercises or even cardio exercises with the bands on. I have people do a bit of both. We focus on hypertrophy some days, and then we work on more systemic vascular benefits and more energetic mitochondria benefits by using multiple muscle groups. So you're challenging it more from a systemic standpoint. But the exercises, we do squats, we do push-ups, we do mountain climbers, we do, standard exercises, but just with a different load, repetitions, and also the total workout time is less. So BFR workouts usually aren't going to be more than 20 minutes. And the reason for that is the fatigue happens so fast, right? Like we're talking about that burn, that fatigue. You don't need 45 minutes. Yeah. Like it happens so fast that all your brain knows is that you've hit a really deep level of fatigue, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to keep continuing that for a long session.
There's a particular sensation that I get. I start sweating a lot, my heart rate's going up, and it's out of proportion to what I'm doing. And then after 20 minutes of BFR on is
right.
You may have done 15. And I just want to say, take these things off of me.
Yeah. And the sweating is kind of crazy. I'm not a sweater typically, but when I started doing BFR, I was like, where is this coming from? Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned cardio. So are you having people do, I can't even imagine how unpleasant this would be, but like doing sprints with BFR or like HIIT training with BFR. Are you doing that?
Yeah, we're doing a mix of just steady state, but if it's steady state, it's still no more than 20 minutes. But mostly I focus on like kind of the VO2, like 3 to 4 minute intervals with maybe a 2-minute recovery with the bands on. And it's pretty wild. I do them with the bands on, and then I always save my last set and I take the bands off. I'll often use my Peloton, and my watts are through the roof on that last set, like way beyond what I normally can do.
you've got the hormone thing happening. As soon as you take those bands off, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. So your body is releasing nitric oxide, which thins your blood and expands your vascular system so that when the bands are on, you can get enough blood flow. But then you take the bands off and you have this like just
yeah,
rush of blood flow. So your VO2 max goes up. So it's actually a great thing for endurance athletes to use as a warm up because it
yeah.
gets our body really primed to be delivering blood to the muscles as efficiently as possible.
I've also heard that if you are more of an anaerobic athlete, I do this silly ski racing thing. So my event lasts about a minute, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're doing it, it's like a lifetime. One of the things I was coached to do was to do warm-ups with the BFRs, and then you've got a window. You've got about a 12 to 14-minute window where there's this, a lot of chemicals are going into your blood, and you can click to another level that you couldn't do before.
That's cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard of the 12 to 14-minute window, but that intuitively makes sense to me from how I felt. But that's really cool. What's your event that you do that's a minute?
I'm a ski racer.
Okay. So pretty significant quad burn, I would imagine, and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, the last 15 seconds are often just like survive.
Wow.
And
Race pain.
race pain, highly consequential velocity. So,
Oof.
I mean, I'm nowhere near like the sort of World Cup people, but you'll see like in those races, when they fall, it's always like the last 15 seconds. Their races are longer. They're like 2 minutes, 2.5, which is incomprehensible to me. But the combination, the mental fatigue, and you just sort of run out of gas. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you should try. Have you ever tried BFR like minute sprints? It's quote unquote sprints. That's not really a
oh
sprint,
my
but you
God,
know
I
what I
can't.
mean.
I'm just trying to like. I've recently I had Stacey Sims on the show,
Oh,
and
great. She's
and
awesome.
we were talking about sprinting. So I put that in, and a 30-second all-out sprint. I do it on a bike,
Mhm.
and the first 10 seconds, you're like, yeah, I got this. I'm gonna crush this thing. Oh, well, then you sort of like your anaerobic is done, right?
Right.
And then you got another 20 seconds. Oh, that's unpleasant. The thought of doing that with BFR, I may do that just see what happens.
Well, it might have some carry over to your racing, just that little bit more endurance and that
Yeah.
minute fatigue.
Talk to me a little bit about, are there gender differences with how BFR affects people?
Yeah, so what I've really found, women in particular going through perimenopause and menopause, this is to me the most amazing solution for them because what's happening for women, they're losing hormones quickly, where men lose their hormones more gradually as they age. And when their estrogen drops quickly, their human growth hormone drops with it. And that's where they lose strength, they lose muscle, they lose bone, they gain visceral fat often. Human growth hormone is the antidote to all of those things. So I have had some life-changing stories of women. I had one woman who she was on estrogen blockers because she had breast cancer
Mm.
and kind of was thrown into menopause, gained weight. She was a lifetime exerciser, including lifting heavy weights, not just cardio, but did the whole thing. Couldn't stop gaining weight. She would try to lose weight. The best she could do was maintain. Started using BFR and within 4 months lost 22 pounds that had been impossible for her to lose before. Her thyroid started functioning. She had Hashimoto's, which is low thyroid,
Mm.
and it's changed her life. So it is like helping your hormones function better. So as women lose that hormone function. For men, I notice it like I have some men in my program that are like in their 60s and they love it. I feel like men who are younger, as long as they don't have injury that's deterring them from going heavy, then most men like there's also a little bit more culture thing. Like a lot of women aren't familiar with lifting heavy, where men might be more familiar with that, depending on their past. So I feel like the sweet spot, not that it wouldn't benefit men younger than that, but like mentally, I feel like that's where men start being like, oh, I want to try this and it's really helping me. One of my clients had blood cancer and was in the hospital for 5 weeks, had a stem cell transplant, completely atrophied. We started very gradually back in BFR, and in 3 months, he got his muscle mass back, and his doctors were literally like shocked. And he's like in his mid 60s. And I mean, that's an extreme case of someone that had an illness, but like that just shows you the power of how it can help. So I think it used to be thought of only for those extreme cases, but now we're really for the average person who's just trying to maximize their longevity, which I know as a lot of your listeners, just like that's what BFR will do. It will help your mitochondria. It will help your muscle mass, your bone density, all the things that we worry about as we age. It will just make it easier for you to maintain or even build those things in some cases.
So I'm just going to tell you my experience with deadlifting.
Okay.
So I love and hate deadlifting. Doing actual heavy deadlifts, I only do them no more than once a week, more like once every 2 weeks, because they are so impactful on my body. It just takes me a really long time to recover from them. But on the other hand, I do 5 at 300 and I feel awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
it's just so great to like pick up this stupid heavy thing and set it down.
Yeah.
The difference though with the BFR, so then the bar is going to be much less, probably like a 45 on each side. So we're like 135.
Hmm.
And with the BFRs, maybe I'll do 10 or 12. I mean, it's really uncomfortable. It's not fun because you're doing
Hmm.
it slower too. With the regular deadlift, you just like get the thing up as quickly as you can and drop. BFRs, it's not like that, right? It's more of a slow, controlled movement, but that doesn't have the sort of systemic hormonal exhaustion, is all I can explain from doing like really heavy deadlifts. I don't get that. I get most of the benefits. It's not as fun, guys. It's not as fun. I know we'd like to pick up heavy things and drop them. It's really fun.
That's
But
interesting. I do have some people that think BFR is really fun, but I guess it just
really,
depends on what you're, yeah, like, well, maybe because it's new, or maybe because they feel so good, or they
yeah,
get like a runner's high afterwards.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's like
that's
that,
true.
that kind of buzz. But that's interesting what you say. So I do one day of heavy lifting a week, and deadlifts are one of my favorite to do. And I've gotten continually stronger in my deadlifts since. So I do BFR for hypertrophy, strength building, muscle strength building, and then I do heavy for, just like you said, like 5 reps. I'm not really trying to get fatigue. I'm not really trying to work on hypertrophy. I'm just trying to get that heavy load, get it off the ground, get that neural
Yeah.
coordination of, maximum strength. And it's a totally different feeling. And I think both are great for people that can do heavy. I'm not suggesting never do heavy. I think the combination is great. I just found for some people that there's a lot of people that can't do a 300-pound deadlift, right? So if you're not able to, it's just a great alternative, I
There's also
suppose.
the safety involved, right? So
Absolutely.
when you start getting into really heavy weight, technique is really important to keep yourself from hurting yourself. And
Hmm.
with the BFRs, you're doing fatigue definitely happens, but it's a different thing, and it
Hmm.
feels much safer to me. It's just easier to keep everything aligned, keep
Hmm.
everything stacked, because
Yeah.
once you sort of tired, like you get a little tired with the really heavy, you got to stop.
Right, right. Yeah, the risk goes up for sure. Yeah, I mean, the huge thing of BFR, the reason why I'm saying it's great for longevity is because it doesn't stress your joints, it doesn't tear down your muscles, it's not risk of injury. So that's the huge benefit of it. Is the results are going to be similar to lifting very, very heavy without the downside risk of lifting heavy.
Right.
But to your point, if you're someone who's skilled at lifting heavy, you've done it for a long time and you love it, like great, that's good. But a lot of people, that's not the case. And also, if we're talking about longevity, I mean, I already have a hip replacement. Like, how many years of lifting 300 pounds? Like, what does that do to your joints long term? I don't know that anyone knows for sure, but we want to maybe minimize that stress to a degree. What's that perfect balance between stress and benefit? And I don't know. Nobody probably knows for sure, but trying to find that where we're not just doing heavy multiple times a week, and our joints are paying the price for that.
One of the things that I find interesting that you mentioned is bone density, and I've always thought the way bone density increases is load, but you're finding bone density increase through, and people are doing
Yeah.
DEXA scans to verify this.
Yeah, and there's been studies done on if someone breaks a bone and you use BFR on the other limbs and not
Right.
the impacted limb, that the bone will heal significantly faster. And the reason is because of the human growth hormone, and there's bone growth markers in the blood that circulate more with
Oh,
BFR. So I think that bone density comes from two ways. One is the load, the physical load that you're exerting, but the other, I mean, our brain controls so much, right? And like what chemicals are coming out of the brain to help our body, right? So in response to this human growth hormone, it's helping our bone turn over, cellularly turn over faster with the human growth hormone. So it's able to do increase bone density without lifting heavy, which is pretty incredible. Again, I try to do both, so I'm getting it from both ends. But if you can't lift heavy, up until now, the alternative is pretty like tough for a lot of women who have bone density issues who don't have experience lifting heavy. Okay, wear a weight vest and walk around a little, maybe that will help some, but I don't think at the level of lifting heavy. So this is a great alternative to that, where you're really getting those blood the bone markers in your blood to increase so that you're getting that bone turnover. More studies need to be done on that. I want to say they still need to do more long-term studies, but they have proven that a broken bone heals in 5 weeks as opposed to 8 weeks, like fully healed where you don't even see it on the x-ray anymore. And I have seen several individual DEXA scans where the bone was going down and then it starts to go up after they've used BFR.
Wow, that's great. These are things that I know a lot of people faced with these conditions, they give up and they say, there's nothing I can do. It's just the way it is. I love these sort of discovering these methods that actually we have agency. There's absolutely things you can do.
I'm so glad you said that. One of the biggest things I got out of BFR for me personally was hope. I was starting to feel like I didn't have agency over my health anymore, and I was losing hope on what's my long term going to look like. And I have multiple other people that talk to this, like a big thing. It's like to have the hope and the kind of confidence that you can do something that makes a positive difference. And then that becomes motivating and reinforcing. And then you want to do more of it. A lot of women that I work with who've gone through menopause and are having difficulty issues, whether it's because they can't lose weight or they're losing muscle or their bone density, and they kind of throw in the towel and be like, I've tried and nothing's working, so why do I even try it anymore? And this is a great tool to give people hope and that motivation back that you can do something that's going to significantly help your health.
Let's talk a little bit about the research here. And
yeah,
so there's a couple of things that we've talked about here. There's the hormonal effect or the lessening of the structural stress on the body. And I read a bunch of this stuff a couple of years ago. The research out of Japan, longevity, the vascular part. So talk to us about the vascular element of this. What's happening with that?
It's a great question because a lot of the research focuses on the muscle gain, and that's been shown, but the vascular health is also huge. So what's happening is as you put the stress on the vascular system, it kind of makes sense. I mean, that's how our body works, right? If it's under a little bit of stress, it will adapt. If it's under too much stress, that's not good. But if you put this moderate stress on your vascular system, your brain knows that not enough blood is getting to your muscles, so it wants to get it there. So it releases things like nitric oxide is one of the big ones that helps to expand the vascular system. So what this does as we age, when you wear BFR, your vascular system will regularly start to get this nitric oxide, which creates this expansion and flexibility of your vascular system. And as we age, as we know, our vascular system gets less and less flexible, more stiff. Arteriosclerosis is the extreme example of that. And this leads to blood clots, strokes, less blood flow to the brain. Like there's all consequences to stiffer vascular system. So BFR basically makes our vascular system more flexible again. People's blood pressure will go down. If you monitor your blood pressure and start doing BFR and then look at the trends, it will go down over time. So that's great. It increases cerebral blood flow because of both that and because we're creating more capillaries. It increases BDNF1, which is a stimulant to create new capillaries. Basically, our body's going, we need more blood. What can we do? Expand the vascular system, create more capillaries, thin the blood. So the result of blood flow restriction training is that you actually improve your blood flow. It's like the opposite result, right? Like our body's responding by we need to get better at improving blood flow. And so the end result is your system is more efficient at circulating your blood. So VO2 goes up, it's really incredible for the vascular system.
And I just want to point out the brain. So long-term brain health, this is really great. And the studies, and like I said, it's been a couple of years since I've read them, but out of Japan, where they were originally testing this because they realized they had this aging population and they need to keep them like as healthy as possible. And what can they do that's safe, that's easy to do? And these studies, I mean, they were in the tens of thousands of people, as I recall. And the effects on all forms of morbidity, heart, cancer, and brain diseases, really remarkable improvements. And if you think about the brain stuff, I'm an engineer, so I sort of think about it this way. So you got this pump, your heart, and it realizes there's an occlusion, like it needs to work harder, but it can't work harder just in one place. It has to work harder systemically. So it's also forcing the blood into the parts of your body that are not occluded, like your brain and your organs, and increasing that vascular elasticity at the tiny capillary level, which is what really helps with long-term brain health. I might have mentioned this to you. The bands I use, they're by a company called Katsu. There's a number of different flavors of these things. But the number one consumer of Katsu bands are these things called face gyms in Japan. And the way the face gyms work, and I couldn't believe this when I heard this, what they do, and this shows you how gentle. So they learned this from the original research of elderly women in Japan, where they would just put them on their legs and basically not do much, maybe walk around. I mean, they weren't doing training like you were describing. They were just sort of sitting there watching television, or they walked to the whatever. It wasn't a lot of stuff. And they realized they were getting these really wonderful effects from this, that they were just doing that. They were seeing muscle mass increase and better vascular markers. So in Japan, they have these things called, I'm going to use the word face gym. There's a Japanese word for it. But essentially what happens is you go into this thing and they put the bands on your legs. And it's mostly women who do this. And it's a 20-minute thing. You just lay there. You put the bands on your legs. I think what you're doing is you're using your face, speaking vowels or something, or you're reading the alphabet. And you do this for about 20 minutes. And you take the bands off your legs. And the thing is, again, your brain doesn't know. All it does is it just like, oh, we have an occlusion. We have to secrete a bunch of growth hormone to help things out. But the muscles you've been using are in your face. And so that's where the benefit goes.
It's amazing.
Which just sounds insane to me. It's the same thing, like you were talking about, you have a broken limb, you put them on the other limbs, and the other limbs don't even really have to do much, just a little bit of contraction or something. And then you take the bands off, you'll get this systemic flood of these hormones. And the hormones and these growth factors are going to look for something to repair. And they're going to, oh, broken arm.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yeah. A lot of people think like, oh, does it just where the band is with the leg? It's like, no, it's the whole system. Actually, the guy who discovered it in Japan, he ended up breaking his leg and was in a full leg cast, and he occluded his upper leg. And when they took off his, periodically to do exercise and just have it occluded, like you're saying, when they took off the cast 6 weeks later, his calf had not atrophied or very little, which is shocking. I mean, usually and he couldn't even move his calf. He couldn't even move his ankle. So it's not like he was working his calf. It's pretty incredible. Yeah.
I have heard stories that major league athletes, baseball players, that they break a limb or something. If you're a professional athlete, you can't afford the downtime because if you're not moving something, you lose really quick. And the gain part, it takes much longer. So if they can stay where they're at while not moving the limb, super helpful.
Exactly. Yeah. Much quicker to return to full strength. That's the other thing. If you think about it, as we go through life, as we get older, we're destined to have some kind of injury, illness, something happens, and then you got to come back from it. And then you have an injury or a surgery, and you got to And as we age, it's like harder and harder to get to 100% after those things. It's like you get a little weaker and then maybe you get to 90% of where you were and then something else happens. But with BFR, you can really get to that 100% so much easier and faster. And so I do think that's another huge way is like recovering from these kind of like blips that life throws at you and being able to get back to your best self, no matter what age you are, is pretty cool. Also another thing that gives you kind of a little bit of hope and excitement about, being able to have some agency over your health.
I have seen graphs of strength and muscle mass change. It's not a smooth curve. It's not a line. It's not a curve. They're step changes. And the step changes tend to be, oh, I got the flu or I broke my foot or something. And exactly what you're saying, suddenly your capacity drops by 10%. And now your new max is 90%, whatever that was, until the next bad thing happens. And then you step change down another 10. So if you can prevent that from happening or mitigate most of the effect of that, that's a really great thing.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it, the step changes. Yeah, and it's like I fell into that with my hip replacement. It was like, it's this downward spiral of like, well, I can only now work at this capacity and that's my max, but you can't like work hard enough to get past. It's like you're stuck in this loop of like, I can't push past to get back to where I used to be because I have this limitation or this, or my whole fitness level's gone down. And now how do I get it back? It becomes harder and harder. So that's a pretty cool effect of it is that, and I started using it 10 years after my hip replacement. I still had atrophy in my leg. When I started using the bands, my atrophy was 90% gone within a month of using the bands. And then I've continued to steadily build it from there. But it just put me at a completely, like within weeks, I was walking differently. I was walking better. I had less joint pain when my endurance was better. It just like got me back to that level that I could not get to before I found BFR.
This is like a BFR infomercial.
Yeah, well, I know it. That is honestly though what makes me so excited about it is that like there is this legitimate science-backed, experience-backed benefit. And PTs know it, and sort of like you have a knee replacement. Oh, let's use BFR so you don't atrophy and we don't want to put stress on your joint. But like if that's good for PT, seems like that would be good any old time.
I'm not a doctor and I don't give medical advice, but very frequently people ask me about things like joint stuff, knee replacement, hip replacement. What I tell them is immediately go get yourself a set of BFR bands and really build everything up. It's not going to stress out the joint. Build that up because you want to be as strong as possible before you go into whatever sort of replacement surgery. And then coming out as quickly as you can. We're talking like a couple of days. Get the bands on and just start working your feet back and forth. Just start sort of squeezing the muscles, and that's going to keep you in much, much better shape. Your recovery is going to be much faster. You can have other stuff to do. You can have elasticity issues with the tendons and the joint and all that stuff. But the big stuff, getting muscle back, especially as a woman, when you're over 50, can be extremely challenging.
Yeah.
Ashley, if somebody wants to connect with you, what would they do?
They could connect with me at SeliStrength.com. Seli is SELI, the play on my last name. So Seli Strength. Also on the socials, Seli Strength on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
And where is your physical gym located?
In Silicon Valley, in Mountain View, California. It's called Evolution Trainers. We've been there going on 20 years.
Oh my gosh, that's a different town than it was 20 years ago.
It is.
Amazing. Ashley, thank you so much for your time. And I'm hoping people out there who have, again, this is a vector into hope. If you have joint problems, you have muscle issues, and you're thinking like, oh, if I could only do that thing that I could do 20 years ago, I'm not saying you can exactly do that thing from 20 years ago, but there's a way, this is a workaround towards getting back to that sort of feeling that you used to have. And it's a way of, again, linguistics here, I don't like to say slowing the aging process, but we'll say increasing the good part of living longer.
I've had a couple of people tell me that they feel like it's changed their trajectory of their aging process.
That's right.
Right. They're still aging, but that feels a lot more gradual instead of sometimes this steeper feeling. Yeah.
Don't like that.
Right.
Ashley, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care.